to be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind to a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are loved.
They had closed the schools in '59.
We moved because the schools in Prince Edward County had closed, and my father was there to teach. And then my mother had actually come from Harrisonburg, so this was her home. And so then we had moved here.
We will call this place our home, the dirt in which our roots made.
Well, to tell you the truth, me and my siblings, we just thought we were going to school. We didn't know we were breaking any color barriers or anything because our parents didn't really make a big deal out of it. You got to go to school, and that's what we did.
We walked in the school, and we were holding hands as siblings and Mom. And I stood behind Mom, and we couldn't all get through the door, so we had to kind of shuffle to get through the door. And we stood there, and it seemed to me that we were completely accepted and didn't know anything was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was a very interesting day. First thing I can truthfully recall was in Park School, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth were all in the same school or same room. So it was 2 classes per room. And at recess, a friend of mine came and told me, "Hey, come over to the sliding board, look up." And what it was the girls had dresses on, and as they were sliding down the slide, of course, the dresses flew up. So he said, "Stand there and look."
The kids were just sweet, and we had to kind of tone down our fears of what could happen.
And what I understand, Mr. Bender, at the time, when we first got there the first day, he called up the superintendent, which I think was Wilbur Pence, and asked him, what do you want me to do? And Mr. Pence told him to send us home. But Mr. Bender said no.
We will call this place our home, the dirt in which our roots may grow. Though the storms will push and pull, we will call this place our home. We'll tell our stories on these walls. Every year measure how tall. And just like a work of art, we'll tell our stories on these walls.
Because the first day we moved to Parkview, I will never forget. There were woods. There was a woods right behind our house, and it was over the fence, but it came right down from our back door, and there was a tree swing. So we climbed, went over the fence, and we were at the tree swing. And all 6 of us were just standing there playing at the tree swing, and there was a group of kids that came toward us, of course, all white. So we kind of got prepared just in case. So my oldest brother and I kind of put everybody behind us like, okay, let's see what happens, because we're new here. So they may want to beat us up. And there were probably 9, 10 of them. And as they walked toward us, we kind of braced for whatever. And they walked up, and one of the oldest said, "Hi, I'm Joyce Martin, and I live in this house. This is my sister Miriam and my brother David." And they introduced themselves, and no problem. We had a ball from then on.
We were very well accepted. And that was probably mainly because Parkview at the time was 90% Mennonite. Now, the Mennonite faith is rooted in peace and nonviolence, basically. And somewhat all people are equal.
I don't even remember thinking that we were any different. This was a new adventure. We were a family that we would go for rides on Saturday and Sunday, and we would take a road that Mom had never driven on before, and it was an adventure to find out where was it going to come. Our first question was, do you have enough gas in the car? You know, so this was kind of one of our, this is an adventure that we are about to go on.
Mr. Rush said that they went through the Parkview area, let them know that an African-American family would be moving in.
We did not have running water yet. And we did have a neighbor that allowed us to, they had attached a water hose from an outdoor faucet, and it ran to our house and into a house, and that was where our water source came from.
You know, our crew wasn't complete when one of the Ewells was not with us, but it just was not something. I don't know. I became close friends to Margaret and Sam because they were in my class, and I don't know that any of us much reacted. We just knew we had new classmates, and they were going to be with us for the year. I don't remember anything adverse in any way.
I never felt different, never felt I was treated differently. I made good friends, fast friends, long-term friends.
We'll tell our stories on these walls. Every year measure how tall. And just like a work of art, we'll tell our stories on these walls. Let the years we're here be kind, be kind. Let our hearts like doors open wide, settle our bones like wood over time.
My mother was one of those that she just connected with human beings. She had white friends in Farmville. She had black friends. And my father was a little more skittish of just communicating with anyone. But he was an African-American male, which made a difference also.
That's right. Father was somewhat hesitant because he was raised up in the Old South in Halifax, Virginia. You know, that's the area of plantations and, you know, just sharecroppers but he came from an educated family. They were all teachers. Grandfather was a minister, so he had experiences outside of sharecropping, etc. But he still had that old Southern background. My mother was a lot more progressive. She believed in going forward, not staying in the back or in the past.
Mom became involved with a committee, the Council on Human Relations. And she was a fervent believer that separate is not equal. And she and Dad were very active then in basically proving that we can coexist, we can not only survive but thrive in a situation where there is equality.
And our hearts like doors open wide, settle our bones like wood. Over time, give us bread, give us salt, give us wine. A little broken, a little new. We are the impact and the glue. Capable.
Our family, we were on one of our Sunday drives, and we ended up in Stanton, and then there's a restaurant in Stanton, and the restaurant is called White's Restaurant. And so I do remember pulling up, and of course there's Mom and us 6 kids, and in the parking lot it says for whites only. And then Mom said, I wonder if that's for white customers, because the white was for the name of the restaurant, or does that mean, being in Stanton, that is just for white or Caucasian people? So Mom said, what do you think? Should we go in? We said, yeah, let's go in. So we went in and sat down at the table, and we were served. But so I would have thought about the race issue then. But on a regular, everyday basis, I don't know that I ever thought about it.
We stopped in Winchester to get food. And they didn't serve us. So that was somewhat one of my first memories.
A close friend of mine said, they'd look at him and just call him nigger, or ask if your grandmother wants some nigger toes, talking about the nuts, the Brazil nuts. And see, I never knew that was the slang for Brazil nuts. But see, my parents would have never, ever sent us to a place that had grown men sitting around just messing with people, because in those country stores they'll do it now. Just laughing and joking and thinking that everything is funny.
It looked like back in the 60s and 70s we took steps forward. In the 80s we took steps back. And in the 90s we took steps forward. And I guess we just had to keep our nose to the grindstone and hope we can move forward, not backwards.
There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I'm hopeful as people learn to know others, that that we can just see the things that that we have that are in common, and when at the end of the day we all want the same things. We all want our children to be happy, to be safe. We all want them to be educated, and we want them to be able to explore our world and to learn from each other. And we all want people, to be caring people.
We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are peace.